You obviously know Kung Fu.
Jeff Vita here with the Kung Fu Drive-In Podcast, and I'm here with Ricky Baker of Eastern Heroes Magazine. Ricky, thank you so much for stopping to talk. Tell me about your participation here at the Urban Action Showcase. Why is a show like this important to you?
Well, last year I was approached by Dimitri, and we decided to make one of my magazines the front cover. And so we put a lot of people on there. This is the t-shirt from last year, where we had Timac, Bobby Samuels, and we did the cover, and it went down very well. So he said, we're going to do one this year. We're going to do Black Behind the Action, which was talking to Donnie Williams and Steve Mohammed about their role in Enter the Dragon. So they ended up doing this year's issue, and this was the one that we put on there. And so we put them on. Then, of course, a special mention to Jim Kelly and Bruce Lee. And so we did it again this year, created a t-shirt, and it's good for networking, it's good to meet people.
Yeah,
a lot of people on my Facebook page come from New York, so it's a chance to meet and greet people that you only ever see sort of messaging on Messenger. So it's a really nice experience. And I like to support Dimitri. I think the cause is very good and worthwhile, so we put the effort in for him.
Well, it focuses on action and martial arts, particularly in the urban community, but what was your exposure to martial arts? Why a magazine about martial arts entertainment?
Because in 1973, I happened to see a clipping of Bruce Lee, and he just passed away. And at the time, there was a kung fu craze in the early 70s, which we all as young kids got into, and we wanted to fight like Bruce Lee. But for some reason, the whole genre of Hong Kong cinema stuck with me. And so later down in life, we decided to form a thing called the Jackie Chan Fan Club, which we only did in the 80s, unofficial. But after that, we sort of grew. We started exposing a lot of other people that was involved in it, Western people like Cynthia Rothrock, etc., etc. They're all good friends of mine. And it's sort of just grown, you know. And what we've seen in the last few years is a revival of the Hong Kong cinema, because Blu-ray, 4K, you see a lot of more people now, a lot more action stars, Western style fighting coming from sort of the Hong Kong style. So it's a really, it's just something that's, I've got a new book coming out with Brett Ratner after Christmas and Ken Miller, which is we did one years ago, a guide to Hong Kong cinema. And so from in my day, before the internet, you know, you had to go to the cinema, but now, you know what I mean, you've got the internet. And you know, a lot of people now that can do their showcasing their stuff, their abilities. We hadn't got that in my day. You know, you couldn't do a show and put it on YouTube. So I mean, you know, it's good. A lot of people are influenced by the Jean-Claude Van Damme or Donnie Yen or whoever. You know what I mean? So it's just something that I've never. It's nice to earn money in your hobby.
Speaking of which, can the influence of martial arts be overstated, particularly in cinema? From Wuxia to Wick, I mean...
Yeah, I mean, if a typical example was back in the 70s, Bruce Lee had the nunchakus. They suddenly found themselves censored in the UK because of the violence.
Oh, really? Okay.
So they were going to the football and that. I do think now, if you watch a proper kung fu film, you appreciate the style and art. But now you've got more to like the Born Identity style fighting, very much like a video game, the action. But you know, I mean, it's so well done, it's so well choreographed, it's like balletic drum shed, you know what I mean, which is different. But I think what we've lost is the traditional martial art films. They don't really make the sort of money. There was a period of time back in the 70s where everything, Bruce Lee, you know, and then Jackie Chan came along. Nowadays, they're still making these films in China. There's a lot of sort of lower budget films, but there's nothing since Crouching Tiger that really opened up the genre. It's more now sort of action, a story with some action guns, sort of jiu-jitsu style fighting, you know what I mean?
So is that golden age of martial arts entertainment where the martial arts was front and center, is that gone for good?
It has. It hasn't gone, but it's not at the forefront anymore.
Okay.
You know, back in those days, you either go to the cinema or in 80s watched on video. You know, now there's so many platforms. It's watered down a bit, you know what I mean? Not since Enter the Dragon or probably Crouching Tiger. There's been a film that sort of opened up, but there's still a big underground following for it, you know what I mean? So
What about the influence of MMA, which is huge all over the world now?
Very big. MMA is very, very big. And I think a lot of people sort of look back at this opening event of the Dragon, seeing Bruce Lee using that mixed martial arts style. It's more so, it was bigger in America than the UK because there was financial rewards. But it's grown, I mean, it's there, it's freestyle. It's like in my day, kickboxing was the thing, or that was the thing. That sort of transgressed from karate, kung fu, Jean-Claude towards kickboxing. Nowadays, MMA, it's huge.
Yeah.
It is huge. It's not so pretty to watch in a movie. It's just more like wham bam
Frenetic
crash.
dynamic, right? Yeah.
Whereas with like films like when you see Jason Statham in The Transporter, it's very flowery, it's very choreographed. And I think martial arts can deliver like a dance film. They can be much better to watch on the screen. If you did it in true style, it'll be over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whereas MMA, it looks good for a few minutes, whereas with martial arts, you can make a lengthy scene out of it, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's
If you had to pick an influential film or person from each of the eras of martial arts and cinema, would you be able to pick one out, say from the 70s to the
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, from the 70s, definitely was Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And I had this saying that in the beginning, we flirted with martial art films.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until Bruce Lee came along that we fell in love with them. Then we moved to the 80s. And the 80s was Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Right.
He come flying through. Then you come to the 90s. And it was Jackie Chan, who'd been around. There was film like Rush Hour and that sort of propelled him. And then you come through to the next, to the noughties. And then you'd have Donnie Yen and Tony Jaa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They come through. There's not been so much now as that, but from those decades, Donnie Yen and Tony Jaa for the latter part, there are some good martial artists out there, but you need that X factor.
Yeah.
You need something that'll propel you above it. And now you can choreograph with green screens. It's a little bit more of an easier thing. But they're the influential people, in my opinion. Jean-Claude, Bruce Lee, and then into the Jackie Chan, and then of course Donnie and Tony Jaa.
Are you worried about things like CGI and AI diluting this whole genre even further?
Yeah, it will, of course. It's very screen pretty. It's a little bit like watching Jurassic Park. In the beginning, it's like, wow. When you've seen it for the 5th time, it loses effect. But back in the old days of Kung Fu, you could have two guys on a beach.
Right.
And as long as they were fighting using their style and that, I used to go to audiences which were packed with just black guys. And they saw something. They loved the silver haired guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They loved the underdog fighting the way through. So that's gone. But that's why these films keep being re-released for the new generation. But it'll never capture the atmosphere of being in a cinema with 1,500 people cheering. You know what I mean? You'll never capture that.
All right. How about the new crop of artists and actors, stunt people that are around today? Is there anybody that you think might be one to pick up the mantle and propel martial arts cinema forward?
Well, my friend has probably come the closest, Scott Adkins.
Wonderful actor, yeah. Wonderful
So
martial artist.
Scott's done well. He said if he'd have been born 10 years earlier, could have had the Jean-Claude thing. So there is people like him. You see a lot of people, but the films aren't getting the recognition. They aren't really, you know what I mean? They're not. Scott Adkins has probably been the most notable face, and he's a homegrown boy from the Midlands where I am, so he's probably the most notable.
Well, what would it take then?
Jet Li.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. What would it take then to give those films a little bit more recognition so that it's accepted by the mainstream again, like it used to be?
A good story.
Yeah. Okay.
A good story. You could bring Charlene Temple and that. It's a good story.
Okay.
Is needed, and somebody can act as well. Bruce could act. He was a child actor. So too much just fighting is just extreme. You need some story. And they keep talking about reinventing Enter the Dragon. That worked because it was an island. There was no cast, people in uniform, so it doesn't date so easily. Very clever move that. You might see it come back again. It happened with Crouching Tiger. You need a beautifully shot film that looks a bit art housey, but has the action. And you also have to get over the subtitles as well for people.
Well, subtitles, I don't know if it's that is as bad anymore because people are used to the anime and stuff. But I don't know. Maybe it's too much of a
the people did slowly come around to it because they were widescreen rather than full screen. You can see more of the action, and sometimes the dubbing is so terrible. So, but I think people have educated themselves a lot more.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I had CISO Steve Muhammad and Bishop Donnie Williams on the show to talk about Enter the Dragon. I asked them about the potential remake. Should Enter the Dragon be remade?
Well, Brett Ratner was going to do it. I was with him. It was going to be like a reinvention.
Okay.
Moving forward with like The Rock playing like the Williams, Tony Jaa being the Lee, Statham playing Roper. It was all. And I saw the trailer. They met this sort of trailer thing out for it. Okay. The RZA apparently has the rights to it right now.
All right.
Whether you could remake it, no, but whether you could do like a reinvention, yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
But they'll never have the same impact. Never.
Okay. Tell the audience where they can find Eastern Heroes magazine.
Okay, so we're online. It's easternheroes.com. It's been around for a long time, and it's easy to just type Eastern Heroes, take you straight to it.
Ricky Baker, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Poison Clan rocks the world.